live for Team USA in the red jerseys versus Hong Kong in white, coming out in just a second here. Third game of pool play on day one of the 2023 World Cup for both teams. Team USA 2-0 with victories over African nations and Norway, and Hong Kong 0-2 with losses to Belgium and African nations. Julia, what are we looking for from Team USA in the third game of the day?
I mean, we're really just looking to make sure that these chasers are continuing to have just like that pure chemistry. All of the fundamentals obviously there for all of them. I've seen great passing, I've seen great cuts from all of them. I just want to make sure that they're going to continue playing their game despite whatever opponent they face in this tournament.
Keegan, you watched Hong Kong earlier. What did you see from their side?
Hong Kong is at their best when they're holding bludger control and really using it on offense to create driving lanes for players like Mike Lee and Fraser Posford. Whether it's a drive and dunk or a drive and dish, they're really at their best with kind of a minimum 1 or 2 passes versus some of the teams you might see here who would prefer to pass 3 or 4 times.
It's going to be Mike Lee for Hong Kong versus Augie Monroe for the United States rushing for the quad ball. It looks like Matt Brown for the United States rushing for the dodgeball.
And of course, beaters are particular about their dodgeballs, so we're going to have a little switch
Change out this older looking gray one for a fresher looking red one once both teams get a chance to touch it. So that's Matt Brown versus Tim Kwan for the dodgeball rush for Hong Kong, United States, and again Mike Lee versus Augie Monroe for the quad ball. Team USA will be defending the right side of the field, Hong Kong the left. You say Mike Lee and Augie Monroe very familiar with each other, played a lot against each other in MLQ and USQ, as Mike Lee plays with the New York Slices and New York Titans in the USQ and MLQ seasons.
Here we go.
He's not even going to try. Monroe's going to get the ball. Lee's just going to try to set up on defense.
You're good. You're chilling.
There's a little change to starting lineup for the United States. The Texas Cavalry Chasers, but with Athena Mayer in the place of Rachel Heald, who started the first 2 games. Josh Johnson's going to pass the ball to Augie Monroe. Back to Josh Johnson. Loves to shoot from this area of the field. It's a hoop zone. He's going to fake, nearly loses broom, but survives and manages to put the ball right through 10-0.
And that's a great first look from Team USA, just getting the job done, having your beater go in, create a little chaos in the middle, make sure that the opposing beater is not focusing on your quad ball carrier, and that's what created that floor there. Great work.
Mike Lee's going to bring the ball up now for Hong Kong, met by Luis Sanchez. Protected by Tim Kwan. Lee's pass is broken up by Monroe. Kwan is beat, and it's going to be an immediate rush for the United States.
All down.
Monroe's going to try to get around Posford. Is going to get around Posford. Pass right to the feet of Mayer, who puts it right to the short hoop. 2-0 United States.
Hong Kong lacks a truly physical presence past Mike Lee, and they're really going to need to slow the United States down and keep them from transition if they want to have a shot at keeping this one in range.
So Lee bringing the ball up again. That'll be Kwan and Shiramo Chow with the dodgeballs at beater for Hong Kong, working to get dodgeball control back from the United States pair of Brown and Richard. Lee's going to work on Athena Mayer, now met by Luis Sanchez. That's going to be a hard matchup to win. Over to Fraser Posford. Posford goes for a shot. It's blocked by Monroe and Johnson, and it's going to be another rush opportunity for the United States. Here comes Johnson. Has passing options, has an open hoop, and is just going to put it through himself. 30-0.
It's a no-nonsense offense from Johnson there.
And Team Hong Kong, in a mismatch like this, I'm not surprised to see them shooting, but I've told players before, and I'll tell them again, if you're going to shoot that top hoop and you're going to miss high. At least it's harder to be knocked down that way.
He's going to go deep. Pass is bobbled by Hai To, who also came off broom in the attempt at the catch. That's going to be another stop for the United States.
Yeah, it's just an unforced error on Hong Kong, an unfortunate series of events.
Here comes Monroe. There is one bludger back for Hong Kong, but the United States is still running up at a pretty good pace here. Dishes off to Athena Mayer. She sees something she likes. Goes back to Monroe after drawing the beat. Monroe's got a one-on-one. Floats it over the top to Josh Johnson, who's going to work back to Mayer, who puts it through. 40-0. Great passing sequence by the United States on that one. There is an aggressive play from Tim Kwan here. Matt Brown is going to be able to hold on to dodgeball control, it looks like. And even better than dodgeball control, the United States should have a chance at a press here as soon as Posford crosses half court. And here comes Matt Brown to rush that press. Posford comes right back over half court, can't go over his own keeper's own line. I don't think he used that one reset.
Sherman Chow really wants to sub, though. It's been tough for her to get off with that press.
Kwan's going to protect Posford. This will allow Hong Kong to set up more of a half court offense finally. Ian Skur has just subbed into the game for the United States. Back up top to Posford. Crossed to Alec Weber. Weber back to Posford, the head coach of this Hong Kong side. Posford tries to pass to Weber. It goes to no one in particular. Louis Sanchez, United States, is the first to it.
I think Weber wanted to set a pick there.
And he hits Skura. Skura can shoot from this range, but he's going to slow it down a little bit. Now bringing it all the way down the side and behind. Weber meets the step. Back to Sanchez. Sanchez back to Skura. Matt Brown's got the beater's pin, so Skura's got a lot of time here, and he's eventually going to make his way to the middle hoop, float it through with a little finger roll.
We've got a switch up on Team USA. Athena Mayer subbing for Julia Bear.
Yeah, so it's the full second line except Sanchez and now Julia Bear, Miguel Esparza, and Ian Skur, and I think they'll get Sanchez out for Leo Freed, it looks like, when they have the opportunity. Meantime, Weber's bringing the ball up again for Hong Kong. Kwan is beat by Angels to throw it back, so there's going to be a chance for an attack from Hong Kong here. Pass goes behind the hoops, but it's low. Kicks it back, but Sanchez is going to be the first to lose ball. And there's going to be one beater back. Sanchez goes for the long shot and hits it to push the lead to 6-0. That's the type of shot that your coaches are mad at you if you miss, but if you hit, they can't say anything.
Yep.
Really feel for Hong Kong. Obviously a mismatch. If the USA is even going to land those types of shots, it could be a long game here for Hong Kong.
Something I want to see from Hong Kong is they're bringing the quad ball up on offense. I feel like they've been tending to rush a couple of these offenses. They're getting some decent looks, but not necessarily looks that you have to take in that exact moment. If they can just work the ball around and try to get the Team USA defense to switch out, maybe they can create something that hasn't been there yet.
Weber's going to try to work on Julia Bear. Julia Bear is beat, so Leo Freed's going to slide over to Weber. Weber goes deep behind now. It's caught. Miguel Esparza is there immediately. Shoves Timothy Luke to the ground. Ball comes loose in the scrum. Weber was the first to it, but he's beat by Richard. And Jules Bear's going to come up with it for the United States. And now Matt Brown and Simone Richard, it looks like, are going to sub for Tate K and Lulu Zhu, who we did not see in the first two games for the United States.
It's good to see Lulu back though.
Tate K is being forced to repeat substitution procedure, so Hong Kong can try to want a one bludger press here if they want. Miguel Esparza sends it behind to Leo Freed. Back to Esparza, back to Skura, across to Julia Bear. All four chasers getting a touch. Bear with the beater face goes to Freed. Beater on Freed. Now Freed draws the beat. It goes back to Bear. Bear finds Skura. Skura back to Esparza. You can see him being really patient here. Esparza back to Skura. Skura's looking for the shot, but three defenders on the hoops. Goes for the long float over the top. Esparza catches it. He was beat, and the shot was blocked anyway, so that's the best defensive stand we've seen from Hong Kong yet.
Good hand from Alex Weber there.
And Weber will lead the ball up now for Hong Kong. Dodgeball control still with the United States, as it's been for the entire game. Leo Freed in the green headband playing point. Going to step up high without beaters to protect Hong Kong ball carriers. Now here they come. Weber going to work it into the center. TK goes, and now he's going to try to launch a press. Weber just sends it deep. Skura is going to be the first to it. Esparza could have been there too, and the United States gets another stop. Here comes Skura. He's thinking transition. Julia Bear is there, and he sees her, finds her, goal. Two Boston teammates from a very long time ago pushed the lead to 70-0 in the United States favor.
Like Hong Kong just did, sometimes when you're being pressed like that, just to try to get the other team to not take that fast break, you gotta launch it. And it's an unfortunate thing that you have to do, but I'm glad that they're able to recognize that.
Yeah, USA with great recognition to see that happened and still get the transition. Weber's bringing the ball up again. Hong Kong's second beater pair. And Leo Freed is going to come up with the ball, but was beat.
Off broom, came off broom.
Ian Skura's first to lose ball. He loves to shoot, but he goes for Julia Baronset. Second time in a row they find each other in transition.
The no-look pass there. Thing of beauty from Ian Skura.
80-0, and that was just great defense into offense for the United States. Leo Fried came off rim, but they were still able to get to the ball. And Ian Skura is going to sub for John Jackson. Subs as well for Hong Kong. Tim Kwan's back in the game.
Tim Kwan really needs to look to throw here. They're letting the U.S. throw at them, and really that's what's forcing all these presses. Hong Kong hasn't been able to get a beat off on an American beater all game.
Partner is Queenie Wong, I believe, with Tim Kwan. She's beat by Lulu Zhu. Kate and Kwan exchange, so there is one bludger on the ground. Weber either goes for the shot or the high pass. Either way, it's going to sail out of bounds. And Hong Kong is without a bludger. They have one here. Tim Kwan should be able to get to it in time, but TK is going to try to get in his way. Here comes the United States attack. Miguel Esparza rushing down the left side. Floats it to Leo Fried. Big alley-oop. Highlight reel play there. Pushes the lead to 90-0.
That's just a pretty and clean play that they just did. Love to see that kind of connection on pitch.
Lulu Zhu handles Wong again.
Timeout has been requested by Hong Kong.
So timeout for the Hong Kong side. Team USA in total control, 90-0 so far. Keegan, let's talk a little bit about the beater play that we've seen so far. All the United States so far. What's been going on?
As I said kind of shortly before this timeout, the Hong Kong beaters have just been afraid to throw when their team's on offense. It's really allowed the American beaters to press. I think on that last play, Tim Kwan traded with Tate K. Looks like something could happen for Hong Kong. It's certainly what allowed the shot from Weber, but Queenie Wong had been beat out by Lulu Zhu before Tim Kwan traded with Tate K. What you need there is for Wong to maybe hang back a little bit, work with Kwan, so that when that trade happens, Hong Kong potentially has the chance to win control, or at least force Zhu to decide between maintaining control or trying to help out in that quad ball game.
90-0 the score. Team USA getting goals from a lot of different players. Julia, what's been working on offense for the American side?
Something that's been working well for them is something we've been seeing all day. They've just been willing to really work it around and wait for those opportunities to open up. They've also been, again, first to the ball on every single defense, and even when they're on offense, if the ball gets knocked away or blocked, they tend to be the first ones there. The pure hustle I'm seeing from Team USA is just amazing, and it's what's getting them a lot of these goals. Of course, they're still getting goals from your classic plays, your give and goes, your cuts from your open players, but that's what's really putting them over the edge right now.
Miguel Esparza has pulled down the hoop to show the referees that the hoops are not properly spaced.
And that's just something that you, as a veteran, know. If the hoops are just a little bit weird, you notice it immediately.
Well, and one difference for the American players is IQA is using the standard distance between the hoops that was used by the United States until a couple seasons ago when the American leagues, USQ and MLQ, started spacing the hoops further apart. So the American players, I think, have had to get used to the hoops being a little tighter together. It hasn't seemed to affect them too much on either side so far, but definitely a difference for these players to what they're used to. For the international, the European, and really just any non-American team, it's what they're used to, these tighter hoops.
9 minutes into this one.
Ball in the hands of Just Sang. Mike Lee's back in the game for Hong Kong. Kwan and Wong, the beaters for Hong Kong. Going to try to work on Tate K here. Lu Zhu dropping very low for the United States side. Ball goes back to Mike Lee. Tate K's going to try his press. Mike Lee's shot is ripped down by John Jackson, his teammate in the MLQ season. It looks like a player took some unfortunate contact to the eye there.
It doesn't look like anything illegal happened, just an unfortunate
John
hit.
Jackson and Timothy Luck just ran into each other on that play.
John Jackson apologizing.
I believe it drew blood, so Hong Kong is going to have to sub, but the player looks fine. Just an unfortunate hit there.
On my whistle.
Fraser Posford had already subbed in, so Hong Kong has all their players back in the field. Now Team USA gets another stop. And we're going to see another shake up the American lines. This is still all Warriors players. John Jackson, Taylor Crawford, Lizarella, but Darian Marsick Ellis instead of Janko Gavostanovic should play with this line in the first two games. All 5 of those quad ball players play together on the Warriors in the USQ season. Here's Marsick Ellis, back to Jackson, back to Marsick Ellis. Back to Jackson, very patient look. Jackson goes to Morella behind the hoops. She goes for a wide pass. Marcellus gets that. TK's going to tap out some chasers. Marcellus fakes, shoots, scores.
So notably in this game, Hong Kong has been running that 1-3 defense, Trees defense, Baylor zone. Taylor Crawford looked to push as a screen to get one of the hoops open, was called back to hoops for that. Looks like this ref crew is not going to let that strategy slide.
Tim Kwan aggressively tried to chase the United States Spears when they're trying to sub there, but they saw it and have not subbed, so TK loses, who's still in the game.
Sometimes
Veteran move by Kwan. Now TK is going to punish Tim Kwan for it. Michael is going to just float the ball behind the hoops, ripped down by John Jackson, and this is another rush attempt for the American Chasers. Jackson in transition, knowing the beat, puts it through, goes all the way from behind and finishes on the top hoop, makes it 11-0. TK blowing up the play, but Tim Kwan beats him to a bludger, and that's actually going to be bludger control to Hong Kong for the first time in this contest, so a little too much dip on the chip for TK there.
I'm excited to see what Hong Kong's going to do with dodgeball control. As Keegan said earlier, they are at their best when they have it, so hopefully they're going to be able to create something.
Lee works on Taylor Crawford, tries to zip either a shot or a pass. It's over the head of his teammate, tries to save it, but it goes out of bounds. Nicholas Fu unable to save the high pass from Mike Lee there, so Team USA comes up with the stop again, even without bludger control.
Hong Kong there left both their beaters back to sub out, and they had none going up on that offensive possession.
Sometimes you just need a little bit more communication.
Daniel Williams in the game for the first time for the United States, along with Casey Irwin. John Jackson across to Lindsay Morella. A lot of space, but no hoop to shoot, so she's going to go over the top to Marcia Ellis.
Peter coming. Peter clear.
Now no beats in the play. Marcia Ellis goes across to Taylor Crawford, tried to slap it through, but it's not there. The ball is still loose, but Mike Lee has it now. Stop for Hong Kong. A lot of referees with their hand up for advantage, and we will have a stoppage and a discussion about the call here.
So the call here is that Just Sang kind of knocked the ball after they'd been beat, so it's going to be a turnover to Team
John
USA.
Jackson's going to have to try to underhand it under Frazier Posford to put the ball through the hoop here.
I wouldn't be
Not
surprised if Jackson kind of juked him out and went for that middle hoop.
Yeah, there's not a beater nearby for Hong Kong. Daniel Williams is right there for the United States. Alex Lai is way back there for Hong Kong, so Jackson should have a second or two to make a play, or just loft over the top to Marcia Ellis or Morella. So USA has a lot of options here coming off of this stoppage.
Yellow card, play after beat.
So Keegan nailed it. Just saying gets called for playing after beat, sent to the box. John Jackson left the ball right by the hoop.
On my whistle.
And he floats it through. That makes the score 12-0.
Thing's going to be back in.
So everything you want there if you're the United States. They get the goal, and they win dodgeball control back. Nice work by Daniel Williams and Casey Irwin there. Lee will bring the ball up again down the left side for Hong Kong, trying to flip the field. We'll see if this pair of Lai can win control back here. Ball goes to Sang, back from the box. She's going to try to go back to Mike Lee, but Taylor Crawford's all over it. He's going to run. He has Lindsay Morella as a passing option, or he can try to beat Posford himself. He's going to choose the second option and score. Back to Mike Lee. Hong Kong will take another shot at this.
You're about
Team USA
13 minutes into this game.
Hong Kong just used a reset for no reason there. Mike Lee just tried to throw it back to Posford. Posford on the offense. Pass was low and rolled over the keeper's own line. So just an unforced mistake over there. And here comes an immediate press by the United States, and that should be the second reset.
Yeah.
Team USA very aware of that situation. That was just knowing the situation, the veteran players taking advantage there for the United States.
Yeah.
Taylor Crawford has the ball. Here comes Daniel Williams to try to immediately create an opening. Crawford goes to Marcia Ellis, who jumps, scores, alley-oop goal in the short hoop. And another stoppage.
Yeah, we had a great job from Lai to dodge this tackle by Williams and still try to get the beat off before Marcia Ellis can make that goal. Unfortunately, the beat was still just a little bit too slow, but still a great job done by Lai.
Yeah, Taylor Crawford did a great job there. Had to put a lot of hands, but Daniel Williams is going to get a card.
From behind.
Contact from behind from Williams.
The goal does not stand.
So the goal's no good. The ball, I think, is going to turn over to Hong Kong. And bludger control should have been with Hong Kong as a result of the beater fouled by Daniel Williams.
Yep, so that one lied, moved to his side to try to get around the contact. Williams got a hand on it, but by the time he actually started the wrap, Lai had taken some steps forward to really force that one to be from behind.
Here comes Mike Lee. This is the first chance Hong Kong's really had to push the pace. Lee's going to get through one, and Lee is going to put it through the short hoop. Mike Lee scores on a bunch of his old New York Warriors and New York Titans teammates and gets Hong Kong on the board. Ellis Barza subs back into the game. Goes to Darian Marzik-Ellis. Finishes over Jess Sang, not able to reach the ball. Darian Marzik-Ellis makes it 14-1 for the United States. And Crawford subs Luis Sanchez back in the game for the United States. Lindsay Morello's going to sub for Athena Mayer back in the game.
Game time. 14 minutes.
The USA
14 minutes.
totally in control of the game. Bludger control, leading by a large margin, but Mike Lee was able to get Hong Kong on the board on that last play. We'll see what Hong Kong can do here. Ball goes back to Posford. It's Kwan and Shirmo Chow back in the game for Hong Kong at beater. Posford back to Mike Lee. No one really trying to test these Team USA point defenders from the Hong Kong side. Ball is over Jess Sang's head. They're going to try to run it down, get there before Darian Marzik-Ellis, but Marzik-Ellis is going to try to shove them out of bounds. Sang with some good footwork and manages to stay in bounds. And now going to rip a shot, but it's going to go right to Miguel Esparza's outstretched hands, and here comes another rush for the United States. Tim Kwan is back. Esparza gets the pass off to Marzik-Ellis, who fakes and scores. So that was some fancy footwork there from Jess Singh to keep the possession alive, but unfortunately by the time they got back to the middle, their teammates at Alton Bede had no choice but to take a tough shot that Miguel Esparza pulls down and turns into points for the United States.
And that was actually a very smart decision by Sang as well, because Posford was calling for the pass, not recognizing that Irwin was right there with the dodgeball, but Sang luckily was able to realize that as they were running and get something off, because that was really their only option there.
As Keegan said, though, you want to miss high and out low in that situation because it goes right to Miguel Esparza's hands, and he's able to rush the break down the other way. We're seeing very excellent passing in transition, I think, from the United States. Even when Hong Kong has had one beater back, it seems like they've still been able to find the openings they need.
Yeah, I mean, the Team USA chasers have been exactly where they need to be almost every single time. We haven't seen a lot of mistakes in positioning yet in this game for them, and that's really allowing them to move the ball around the defense and just get like 2 passes off before something invariably like opens up on the Hong Kong defense, and they're able to recognize that immediately.
Dipping a little more into the depth for Team USA in this game, they brought 25 players. They can switch the roster during the game. So we've seen Lulu Zhu for the first time. We've seen a lot of minutes for Athena Mayer, who started and just subbed back in, and a lot of big goals for Mayer so far in this game. Just a ton of different looks Team USA can throw. I think coming from a lot of different USQ programs, there's still a little bit of sorting out who's going to play with who, who's going to be the best lineups for the game against Belgium this evening, which will be the most likely a matchup between 2 undefeated teams, and then of course the bracket run tomorrow. So USA way in the lead, Keegan, but in terms of getting ready for a game against Belgium and a bracket run tomorrow, what can they still clean up?
Certainly. So I think one thing that the Team USA needs to work on, and it could be tough against a team like Hong Kong, is kind of being able to moderate between very aggressive beaters and kind of less aggressive beaters. Obviously in this game, they're able to run the table with Hong Kong without really facing any throws themselves. So be tougher to kind of be in that conservative mindset. But against a team like Belgium with Louis Lermit on that team, if you suddenly are in a situation where maybe you need to pull it back just a little bit, we need to make sure Team USA isn't getting so aggressive against a weaker team that they kind of lose their roots when it does come to those closer games that they should have later today and tomorrow.
Great point.
For Hong Kong, down in this game, has 2 losses on the schedule already. Still has to play one more game this afternoon. I think they've kind of started just managing themselves in this game to keep their energy for the last game, but what can they do differently in their last game of the day, Julia?
I think for the last game of the day, they just need to really focus on where they're going to want to attack. I mean, like, they've been pretty decent so far in this game, but I feel like there's been a little bit of hesitation every once in a while, and just being able to keep that decisiveness there is going to make a good difference.
Yeah, it's been tough both being met by Team USA point defenders and with Team USA having bludger control for about 90-95% of this game. Even if you can get around the point defender, there's a beater
1 minute,
right in the face.
US! 1 minute!
Struggling to swing the ball around. We've got 1 minute left in the heat stoppage. The United States is already back out there. Hong Kong still on their sideline taking full advantage of this heat stoppage. Temperatures quite high in Richmond, Virginia this weekend, so at the 15-minute mark right again, there's been a stoppage for heat. And we'll see if that continues to wear on players as we get deeper into today and into a possible bracket run tomorrow.
Yeah, another advantage of Team USA running 25 deep is not only can they really figure out what lines work right now in pool play before they have to kind of figure out what their bracket roster is going to be. They're able to kind of rest some of these players so they don't have to play and dehydrate themselves for 4 pool play games. A lot of players can only play 3, then they'll be that much fresher tomorrow.
Yeah, and we've seen, as we mentioned, players like Tyler Trudeau and Ian Skura sat out the first game. Lulu Zhu sat out both the first 2 games, but is making her first appearance in this game. We haven't seen Janko Gavosdanovic in this game, who was a big scorer in the first 2 games, so definitely making full use of the depth here. And a lot from Athena Mayer in this game, who we didn't see much of in the first 2 games, but has been a big presence in this one. So, back after the heat stoppage, 15-minute mark of the game. 150-10 our score. Mike Lee handling the ball for Hong Kong. Bludger control with the United States. The pair of Daniel Williams and Slim Richard in the game. Ball goes back to Posford. Sanchez just moving back and forth between Posford and Lee. Esparza steps aggressively to Lee there. Posford's now going to loop around, try to bring it behind the hoops. And Team USA is going to let him. So he's going to drive in, make the pass over the top. High Toe's got the ball now. Quan is there trying to create some space, but it's eventually just going to go back to Mike Lee. No real opening created for the United States. Lee's going to try to do something now. He's beating the back, manages to get the pass off, but Darian Marsegelis lazily slaps it down and starts running the other way. 1 bludger back for Hong Kong. Tackle attempt from Shirmo Cho, but Cylinder Shard easily brushes it off. Marsegelis sends it behind to Athena Mayer. Goes back to Miguel Esparza wide on the wing. Now back to Marsegelis behind the hoops. Not a long floated pass from the United States here. Marsegelis tries to drive, and we're going to get a stoppage, I think, for what happened in the beater play. I think for the shove from Sanchez, it looks like. So the same thing Keegan mentioned earlier, when the United States likes to try to have a player try to screen a player on the hoops, this ref's calling it very strictly if it crosses the line into a shove, and so Luis Sanchez is headed to the box for a card for that shove, and that'll turn the quad ball over to Hong Kong.
And again, that's something Team USA really needs to be aware of. From my understanding, as far into this tournament as is possible, we're going to avoid having American ref crews ref Team USA. If this is how it's going to be called by some European refs, then Team USA really needs a different strategy against this 1-3 zone.
I also feel like it's not necessarily needed against Hong Kong right now. Team USA has been able to create openings and everything without those on-hoop screens.
Right,
so.
they're able to get so close to the hoops against this zone that there's other ways to finish without needing a chaser to push the other team's chaser out of the way, which is a play that is run a lot in American quad ball and doesn't get carded usually unless it's a truly excessive shove.
Hand on and then forward.
So there's
What?
dispute over what America's coach are trying to explain to the players what's going to be allowed and what's not. But we're live now. Hong Kong will have a 1-player advantage with America down a chaser. We'll see if they're able to crack a shorter American defense. Bludger control is still with the Americans, the pair of Matt Brown and Slim Richard, who started this game back in. Mike Lee rips a shot, but it's knocked down by Miguel Esparza. Team USA will get the stop. They can penalty kill if they want. They look like they might try to push the pace and score down a chaser anyways. I think that's what Darian Marsegelis always wants to do. Brown and Richard setting up far apart from each other, trying to create opens for their chasers.
16, 50, 20 more seconds.
20 seconds left on Sanchez's penalty. It does look like the United States are just going to slow it down and wait for Sanchez to be released. Haitian offense to Athena Mayer. Now to Miguel Esparza behind the hoops. Esparza's going to go wide. Back to Marsegelis.
Sanchez back in the game.
Lou back, Lou back. Hey, you got Miguel's face on.
Esparza is cutting wide open, but
Hey, I like the
Marsegelis
look,
didn't
Miguel.
see
I
him.
like the look. Blue up top.
Big exchange of beats. Now Marcellus has space to move. Going to get beat from behind. I didn't realize Tim Kwan had retrieved his own bludger, so Hong Kong gets the stop.
The one thing you don't want to do if you're Team USA is have one person ball handle for a whole possession.
Posford will bring the ball up again for the Hong Kong side. 15-1 still our score. Also trying to work into the middle now. Tries to rip a shot, knocked down by Miguel Esparza again. Shot blockers for Team USA have been on point all afternoon. Here comes Sanchez in transition. Goes high to Marcellus. Too high. Marcellus is going to save it from going out of bounds though, so America will get another chance at this. Here comes Marcellus. Beats Posford. Jumps, goes to Athena Mayer. She's just going to pull it back out. I think the USA is going to slow this down a little bit.
Swing it, swing it, swing it. Swing it
Now to
again,
Sanchez. He's got space now. Goes to Skura. Skura goes to Marcellus, but Posford deflects the shot right as Marcellus will beat. I think one too many passes without actually driving to the hoops from the United States there.
Back-to-back plays here getting stopped, Team USA. These are the bad habits that I mentioned earlier you can't fall into. That one all started with floating a pass right over DME's head. Need to avoid doing that against a team like Belgium.
Yeah, we talked about how good Team USA has been in the past and in these games with their passes. We don't want them to regress right before one of their hardest games.
Here comes Posford, rips the shot, Ian Skura blocks it again. That look has just not been there for Hong Kong. Here comes Skura in transition. And this time, Team USA is going to get all the way hoops in transition. Nice finger roll goal from Skura, pushes the score to 16-1.
19 minutes!
While Team USA was running that offense, Athena Mayer subbed for Rachel Heald in the game for the first time.
And with Heald and Skura both on the hoops now, as well as Leo Fried and Janko Galzanic are both tall for point defenders, the shot right down the middle is not going to be the look for Hong Kong here. Ball in the hands of Mike Lee again. Rips a pass, I think was deflected by a bludger by Slim Richard and rolls out of bounds.
Quick ref stoppage.
Count is going to come from the table.
I can't. Not exactly sure what the referees are discussing here. It looked to me like Slim Richard blocked that with her dodgeball.
Come on, Mike.
So the inbound, but the inbound is going to go to the United States.
Nope, not a beater, only a chaser.
So because it was a beater who blocked the ball out of bounds with her dodgeball, most of Richard, Team USA is going to get the ball. If a chaser knocked that out of bounds, it'd be off the United States. They get the stop. Skura studs for Lindsay Morella. Rachel Heald handling the ball now. Goes to Gabos Danovich, making his first appearance in the game. All the way across to Leo Fried. Back to Morella. To Heald. To Gabos Danovich. Passing all around the perimeter. 5 seconds away from flag runner release. Heald floats it high. It's blocked by Mike Lee, but Gabos Danovich manages to win it anyways. Now back to Morella. She dodges a beat. Nice dunk. And now she's going to go right in and go for the big poster dunk and gets it. Rachel Lee unable to stop Lindsay Morella there. Mohagog's had a lot of time with the flag, but this Hong Kong seeker almost gets the flag runner from behind, just misses. That's the type of thing the American beaters and flag and seekers need to be aware of. Don't seeker sneaking up from behind. Here the seeker comes again. Hagog dived and knocked the stitch earlier, and that saved another possible catch from behind.
2, 1.
Stop for United States in the quad ball game. Gon Jackson in the green headband now.
Mo, do not 50-50. If she's around, make sure you let the snip see her. You're clear, Mo. You're clear, Mo. You got time,
A
Mo.
lot of time for Mohagog in the seeker game now.
All the time in the world.
Matt Brown and Casey Irwin dominating bludgeon control for the United States. John Jackson patiently bringing it up for the United States quad ball offense. Big beat from Tim Kwan. Matt Brown relays one back, so Brown and Irwin should hold on to control here. More time for Hagog and a goal for the United States.
We've got the Team USA bench coaching Hagog on when he can go in for the flag, because there were 2 times right at the beginning where Hagog created a 50-50 situation, and the Hong Kong seeker almost caught it, and that's not what you want to have in this game.
Hagog gets the flag. We'll see if they make a call on that. He switched arms mid-grab. That's one that sometimes gets called as restricting.
So this flag runner has been backpedaling away from Hagog's reach this whole game. In this case, he continued to backpedal through the dive and got caught up and fell. I think that's really going to come down to the flag runner, whether or not they say they were pushed to the ground or if they just tripped under their own 2 feet. I think it's a call that could really go either way.
Always tough with flag runner calls. The score is 170 to 10 in favor of the United States. Catch for the United States would end the game with a final score of 200 to 10 if this is called good. And Hagag using that long reach to get behind the flag runner. We'll just see if it counts or if it gets called as restricting or charging.
Catch is not good.
Catch is no good.
Illegal contact. Charging the flag runner.
And it is going to be a yellow card on Hagag for charging the flag runner.
So that's something you have to be careful about with a flag runner like this. If his style is to backpedal to maintain that reach, you really can't go in with excessive force. If you do that, then they hit the ground, it's going to be a charge. Versus a more wrestling-oriented flag runner, they can take that contact without going down.
Very famously, back in 2016 in the finals, America had a catch that the American side thought was good that was called charging, and then Australia was able to get the catch a few minutes later and win the 2016 World Cup. So something the United States is very aware of and needs to make sure doesn't happen again. Hong Kong has the quad ball. Goes back up top to Mike Lee again. Lee goes for a two-handed pass. Pass is connected, but Janko Gazemich just blocks the shot attempt from behind and is now pushing the other way in transition. 1 meter back. Gazemich back pass to John Jackson. That was pretty, and Jackson puts it through to make it 18 to 1.
30?
Hagag with 30 seconds left on his penalty.
So sometime with the flag runner here for Hong Kong now. We'll see if Kimberly Huang can come up with the catch. She'll have the snitch all to herself until Hagag is able to tag back in. Mike Lee with a deep pass by hoops, not able to be handled. And Janko Gavosdanovic and Matt Brown were both there to break that up anyways. Hagag is released. Huang not able to get the catch in the interim, so Hagag will have some more chance of that. Team USA going to be real slow on offense. They don't really gain much by continuing to push the lead up. They just need to get the flag and be done with this game.
Make him stop. Push him to the boundary.
If Hagag can't get this flag runner, we've got Freed on the sideline ready to go.
Oh, don't let him come on down.
Ryan Davis from Team USA really trying to coach Hagag through this catch.
Yep.
John Jackson patiently continuing to advance. Now goes to Gavosdanovic behind the hoops. Back to Jackson. To Rachel Heald. To Lindsay Morella. Team USA really not aggressive trying to move the ball even without dodgeballs in the play. John Jackson has it now. Leo looks like he has a clean catch.
I will say this. If Mo's catch was called to charge, I would be pretty surprised if this one wasn't.
We'll see. So Freed, the snitch is once again falling down, which, as you mentioned, is partly a result of the style of backpedaling. Freed able to definitely get the flag right in front of us before the snitch hit the ground.
Catch is good.
And this time the catch is
That's a
good.
good catch.
So the United States finishes it with a 200-10 win over Hong Kong. They improved 210-10 win. They improved to 3-0 on the day. 1 game left against Belgium. Hong Kong falls to 0-3 on the day. Final thoughts, Julia?
I think that this game was just a really good game by Team USA. A couple of errors that they're going to need to clean up in order to face Belgium as well as they can. Hong Kong put up a great fight against Team USA. I'm excited to see how a couple of these players are going to develop because a few of them are either already very good in their own right or have the makings of a really good player as soon as they can get a couple of things coached into them.
All right, I think we'll wrap it up here. We'll be back shortly for the next game.
Not the most